Hey, you're listening to Blindsight. Let's go. Mental health isn't something to take lightly. It's time to fight. It's time to thrive. Let's do this.
Welcome to Blindsight. I'm your host, Bill Lundgren, back in the saddle, and really excited to be doing this program. This is going to be one of four-parter, talking about a very important topic for all of us, and that is it's a look at ourselves. And we all have a story to tell. The question is, are we comfortable in being able to tell our story to ourselves and to other people? And that's not always the case. A lot of us don't know how to tell our story to someone else. And it can be by hiding it. It can be like a wound that doesn't heal. And so today we're going to be talking about how we can learn to tell our story and to tell our story. And with us today is Bethany Joy Boring from who is a mental health consultant and also an author who has been doing this and has been able to develop a kind of format, if you will, about how we begin to heal from the story that we have difficulty discussing. Bethany, welcome.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's going to be our pleasure, I know, and I'm looking forward to it. In a way, too, it's a chance for me to look at my story as well as, our audience.
Mm-hmm.
So to start off, I'm wondering if you can just tell us a little bit about how you came onto this format and how you use it.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so my story is crazy. I of course have vision challenges of my own. So I was born with a thing called charge syndrome, which is a combination of a lot of different physical challenges. And within the last couple of years, specifically, I started really going through additional vision loss and hearing loss. And when those two things are combined, you just feel like you lose a lot. And when I was walking through some of this a couple years ago, I was also walking through a divorce and being a single mom and just so much going on. I got connected with Dr. Kurt Thompson and the Center for Being Known, and they have what's called confessional communities. And I was invited over there. Goodness, I can't remember how many years ago that was, but it's an intensive, which I thought was going to be a great idea. At the time, I was doing a little bit of my own work, but they introduced me. I was already doing some of this work beforehand, but face-to-face was a little different. And it was the first time that I really had an introduction of, hey, here's 20 minutes, and you get to share as much or as little as your story as you want. Go. I was like, wait, What's the framework? And so that's where it all started. It's gone a lot, a lot of different places since then, but that was the very beginning of learning how to tell my story.
So, well, I know that all of us need to tell the story, but the question is, what are the pitfalls? What do we need to do? What do you recommend people do to begin the process of being able to tell our story?
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, and I don't know about you and what your story is, Bill, all the way, but I think so many times when we think about telling our story, we think about what? Birth all the way through where we are now. I mean, that's what a lot of people think of. And what I challenge people to do in a lot of my groups is to start with a scene. Like if you could chop your life into like different parts and just focus on a scene, what is the scene that your heart is really longing to have somebody be with you in? And it's usually one of those parts where we're most terrified almost to share. And for me, it was a lot of my childhood and a lot of my teenage years, which I had not shared. And so I made the mistake when I first told my story to try to get everything covered, and everybody was just like, felt like they were like in whiplash. It's like,
Yeah.
what do we, And so if you can just think of like a part, that really makes it a lot easier. And so a lot of my story at the beginning became from how was that to be born with a bunch of physical challenges and trying to fit in a world that I felt like I stood out. And that's where a lot of my beginning story started.
That's a good point because so many of us, particularly with, well, in my case, I was born with a hearing deficit. I didn't
Mhm.
know the blindness was going to come. But
Mhm.
my mother's message to me was, you can hear, you just need to try harder.
Mm. Yeah.
And I've carried that message. But can I
Mhm.
talk about it with other people? Well, for a
Exactly.
long time, I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're still hearing that message. Like we want to believe, and I can relate to that because with hearing loss, I had the same thing. And let's just turn the volume up on the phone. That'll help. I'm like, it's like,
Yeah.
and for the life of me, I wanted to believe that it could, and there was something wrong with me, right? So if I'm sharing that part of my story, even though I've done enough work on myself to want to believe that that's not true, I fear about, Bill, if I share that with you, then you're going to go back at me and go, well, yeah, just turn up the volume on the phone. Like, what was wrong with you? Not that you would say that, but I
Right.
still have that internal fear that you are. So, yeah, that's huge.
So, how do we begin to, uh, as you say, share our story? And what do you see as the purpose of being of sharing the story? Because we can go around with these kinds of, and we have,
Hmm.
these messages, and we've quote done fine. Why should we do any work on
Well, what does fine look like to you?
it?
I mean, I think a lot of it really comes down to just the idea of wanting to be with others. And the longer we hide behind our stories and honestly, the lies that our stories have, because there's a lot of lies in there, the more we tell our stories, the more it becomes more true to us. And we have different people go, not that we're sharing lies, but a lot of times, like, we try to cover up what we're feeling. And so,
Absolutely.
right? So in your story, I would have been like, wow, Bill, like when you shared about me or sharing that, you just need to try harder to hear. I know I just felt like I just wanted to be with you in that moment. And I wanted to tell that person, no, don't you get like what's going on? He's doing the
Hmm.
best he can. I felt anger for you. And you might be like, wow, like, wait, somebody else feels that for me? Like the anger that I was feeling is good. Like it actually makes sense to somebody else. And so that's going to help you shape the story differently the next time you share it. That kind of
Hmm.
makes sense? Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I mentioned the hearing. I
Hmm.
learned without any training. I learned lip reading, and that
Mm,
was my way of escaping notice.
yeah.
And I could even fake what I thought somebody said, so that nobody
Yep.
knows, that I have a hearing deficit.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and boy, it's painful that you
Yes.
have this and you can't tell anybody, or you
Yeah.
hesitate to tell somebody because they're going to think less of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least that's the story we're telling ourselves, right?
That's the thing. The story we're saying is that we're less than, and we
Mm-hmm.
hold on to that as long as we don't reveal.
Yeah. And that's a lot of energy too
Mm-hmm.
that we're putting out there. I mean, I remember when I really started to really talk about my vision loss, because that's the most, and I've had vision loss a lot, but that's been a lot of my story at least the last couple of years. And because I did so well, I thought,
Yeah.
you know, meanwhile, people knew. And because I was so strong, they didn't know how to come along and help because I wasn't admitting what I was struggling with. So not only was I using the energy to protect my story, I was using a lot of physical energy that I didn't have
Yeah.
to keep this game, so to speak, playing. And they didn't know how to connect with me because I was trying to be so strong. And so the very thing I was trying to do is to get closer to others was the very thing that was keeping me away from the closeness that I desired.
Bingo. I know. See, part of my difficulty with my vision loss was that I thought everybody saw the same way I did.
Yep.
I didn't know I had, and I'd gone to eye doctors who didn't tell me that there was something wrong with my vision. So it was out of innocence more than anything else that I didn't tell anybody about the vision thing until it was finally I was confronted with it.
Mm.
And then I had to do a whole lot of song and dance in order to get around and deal with it. And I didn't really deal with it. I'd trip over a fire hydrant or run into somebody because I couldn't admit it.
Yep.
And that's when my not telling my story was physically put me in danger.
Yeah. So I'm curious for you, like, what was it that took you out of, okay, I'm now to the point where I'm uncomfortable enough where I have to start telling my story, at least to myself? Like, what was it that pushed you to begin your journey of telling your story?
Well, in my case, it was just finding out scientifically that my sight was in trouble, and in fact, a friend of mine referred him me to a ophthalmologist because my friend had been around me enough to know there was something wrong, and he sent me to an ophthalmologist who could figure out what the problem was, but he wouldn't tell me. So I was sent to an eye clinic at the University of Pennsylvania. I was living in Philadelphia then. And they did the chart to say, and then they went to my friend and said, don't tell him he's going to lose his sight because it's going to be too upsetting.
Wow.
And fortunately, my friend said, no, I have to tell him. And that at age, I think it was 30, I finally got the word that I am going to lose my eyesight.
Yeah.
Now, for me, in telling my story, it made all the difference in the world because I was unhappy in the work I was doing, and I didn't think I could continue, without sight. This was doing advertising, and I had liked the field of addiction and treatment of addiction. And so that was a plus for me to find out I was going to lose my sight because it was the thing I needed to make a career change. And it's a career that I've pursued for 40 years, eventually through a lot of different things that came along. But I became a counselor, and it was life-changing rather than the kind of awful thing that other people around me thought was awful.
Yeah. Well, and what amazes me about your story is that your friend cared enough to come to you with the truth rather than because he was told not to. Like, he cared for you that much that he was willing to share with you what could happen with your vision. And I'm just curious, did he continue with you through some of those journey and transition that you had to walk through?
Yeah, he was there, and he also, got connected with the low vision clinic, and I got some of the information and help, and I also got the encouragement that when I applied for a job, I told him point blank, what my story was about the vision.
Wow.
I was not going to hide that because it would affect me at some point. So they better know if they're going to hire me, they're going to have that understanding.
Wow. I mean,
And I can't believe when I look back on it that I did it, but it was the wisest thing to do.
yeah. Well, and that you had your friend with you. Like, talk about storytelling. I mean, you literally got to share the story with your friend who came with you
Right.
on that adventure. I mean, how many of us, I mean, I'm sure some of your story, like you mentioned before, is hiding. But what
Yeah.
I'm hearing is that the biggest change happened for you is when your friend actually came to you and
And told
invited
me
you
my
to share
story.
your story more truly. Yeah. And not only that, he was like, hey, I'm not leaving. Like, let's go, and willing to walk the,
Right.
through it with you. That's huge. I mean, you got a story that many, many people don't have. And so that's encouraging for me to hear that. So thank you for sharing that with me today.
Well, I think because it came from someone else with authority,
Mhm.
I couldn't avoid the story. And it was something that was so major that I didn't have a choice in the matter.
Mm.
I mean, I tried to fake it with everybody else, like I say, trip over fire hydrants and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was very clear that I couldn't avoid it anymore. But there
Yep.
also, there wasn't a whole lot that I could do for a while,
Yeah.
except go to low vision clinic and so forth. There wasn't any real treatment like we're talking now. But
Yeah.
it didn't matter. The secret was out.
Yes. Yes.
And I couldn't.
And you weren't
I
left.
tried to fake a while, like I did with the lip reading.
Oh yeah.
But there isn't an answer for that other than to just get yourself in trouble because you can't see everything you're supposed to see.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just interesting because I'm just listening to what you're saying, and as I'm listening to it, I'm just noticing that A, your friend stayed with you, but B, that contrast to what you thought would happen.
Right.
You were actually living at that reality that your friend came with you. Your friend helped you out and all of these things. And so I can imagine how hard that must have been for you. I mean, good, but also this, like, wait a second. I thought when I admitted this, people would leave. And meanwhile, your friend's still sticking with you. Like, I can imagine if it was me, I would have been like, wait, are they really going to stay? Like, I don't know if you had that, but yeah.
Yeah, he did eventually leave because he had some things that he had to do. He left the state. But by that time, I was settled in a job that I could do blind. At least I had envisioned that. Again, I won't tell my whole story is too long, but I found out within that framework what I could do, no matter what, which was being a therapist.
Yeah.
And even then, there was some hesitancy because, and I find this over and over again with therapists who are blind, we can't tell our story and say, we're a blind therapist, because then people with sight won't come to us. At least that's the image that we have. So we have to kind of involve and weave around that issue from a professional issue area. But I think the important thing was I knew where I was.
Yes.
And when it came up with a client who said, "You're blind, aren't you?" And, sometimes I pause and say, "Yeah, I knew there was something a little different about me." Or make
Wow.
and it's like when my neighbor comes over, I don't turn on the lights in my condo, and my neighbor comes over and says and walks in and said, "Bill, would you turn the lights on?" I pause and say, I feel so sorry for you sighted people. You have to have electricity and you have to have lights turned on. How
That's great.
disabling."
I love it. That's awesome. I mean, it's just a way of doing things differently. Like, and I'll tell you, part of my journey has been public speaking again. And I took a break. for a while with everything that I walked through in my life, and especially the fear of just feeling like I was going to fall off the stage. Like, that's still a thing. Like, that's still a thing. But anyway, all this to say, I realized as I was going through this journey and I'm running into other speakers, they said, Bethany, we just need to sit with you. I'm like, why? They're like, you have a storytelling where you can literally paint the picture in our minds. And I'm like, where did that start? Because I don't feel like a lot of people have said that to me. And honestly, and you can relate to this probably, Bill, when we lose vision, we're so used to these audio descriptions or verbal descriptions of what things look like or feel like or see like, and that's our language, right?
Right.
And so when people look to us, for sighted people, they look to us, they're like, oh, wait, they're not used to describing what they see. They're not used to painting that picture in people's minds. And so as a speaker, that's actually a hidden superpower where I will have people literally come to me and sometimes even pay, like, Bethany, can you help me share this story with my audience in a way that they can see it in their minds?
Right.
And so we have that superpower that honestly, it takes us stepping into that unknown to realize, wait a second, there's stuff that I can do that other people can't, and they need that. They need that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the respecting, respecting that difference.
Yes. Yeah. And you get it. I mean, because you've helped people. I'm sure you've got testimonials from clients that you've helped, right? And so, yeah, I think that validates it. But then also, you know, whatever it is that we find that we're going to do, wherever we are in our story, where we can show up more truly, we have energy to do it, right? Like, I have a different energy when I know that I get to speak to an audience. I have a different energy when I get to turn on my camera and do sessions with people versus, God help me, sitting down with my kid and doing math homework. Like, it's just, there's a totally different energy in there, you know? And so regardless of if we see immediately the effects that it's having, we can notice there's something alive that happens within us, that God has created us in that way to do that. And so regardless of what people think, I'm going to do what makes me feel alive. Because if I don't, and if I have to wake up every morning and doing the very thing that sucks the energy out of me, I'm not going to want to get out of bed the next morning.
Right. But you see, that's the thing that when you first find out, or when you have been enabled by people, you don't know that you have that power to make a difference. You don't have to depend on other people. But you see, this is the way society thinks, oh, this person is blind. I have to take care of him or her.
Yeah.
And we believe it, or we may start off believing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it's important for us to be able to acknowledge to ourselves, as we say, to tell our story, learn to tell our story to ourselves.
Yes.
And then say, oh, you know, this doesn't have to be this way, or this is the way that I survive, and we can take a look at it.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, telling our stories to people who aren't going to be like, oh, you poor thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, looking for those people, like your friend who is in your life that you know that can tell us the truth back to us, even if it may be hard. So your friend took that with you. You know, he told you the truth, but then it wasn't like, see ya. It was more like, okay, I know what you're capable of, and this isn't going to stop you, and I'm with you. And that's what we need. We need to surround ourselves by those kind of people, because I think, at least for me, I don't know if it's been for you, Bill, but I know I've had my chance of telling my story to people who it's either A, would put me in this box of, well, this is what you can do now and this is what you can't do now. Or B, you know, like, what do you mean you're a single mom of 3 kids? Like, how can you do that? Then I have those other people that are like, the box doesn't even exist, because they know that I love to go skydiving and I travel and I do all this stuff. They're like, Bethany, this isn't going to stop you. Instead, you get to see and hear the world differently, and people are going to long for that because they get so tired of what they can see and hear. You find the goodness in what other people miss. People need you. And so I choose to surround myself by the people that see that in me rather than what I'm missing, so to speak. And so, but we have that choice. Like, I think so many times we're like, oh, I'm stuck with all these people that are around me that think that, no, you're not. Like, I don't know if you checked, but we're one in like how many million of people? Like, you can't tell me there aren't other people around you. Maybe
And
at
we
least
shouldn't be
one.
afraid. Yeah.
Yes.
We can't be
So don't give
afraid.
up. If you're out there, don't give up.
Yeah,
There's more people.
exactly. It's interesting. Early in the game, went into a restaurant to meet a friend, and it was a dark bar kind of restaurant, real dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stumbling around and trying to find where my friend what table they were at. And after dinner was over and we left, my friend took me aside and blasted me for that.
Wow.
He said, you keep trying to fake your sight.
Mm.
And unless you tell me what you need, I can't help you. And I can't get the pleasure of helping you.
Mm.
Now, we
How
don't
was
want to
that
do
received
that
by
to
you?
just to give pleasure, but we have to understand when we feel what our liability is, that
Yeah.
by telling our story and letting people know what's going on, and in effect, helping them to understand what they can do for us,
Mm.
that
Mm.
is not enabling, but is helpful,
Yeah.
then it heightens the relationship.
Mm. Did you see it that way when he first told you that?
I didn't. I was, offended, but
Yeah.
I had to think about it. And I've thought about it ever since that,
Mm.
stop trying to be so perfect, so able
Yeah.
in situations where it just, even sighted people have trouble in a dark restaurant. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
don't you admit that that's a bad place for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's it's one of those things where like for instance, me and my boys, my youngest is how old now? 12. And just an idea of our little atmosphere that we live in here. My youngest got this ping pong set the other day. And it's one of those that you attach to a table and it's
Correct.
just a net and one paddle for each person and a ball. And he was so excited. Now keep this in mind that he's known me his entire life. So he's 12 years of this, right? He's like, "Mom, I can't wait to play with you." Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but here's the thing. Here's the cool thing though. He knew me well enough. He knew my limitations, but he still knew that I was fun to play with. And part of the reason he did it wasn't necessarily to make fun of me, but he knew that this was going to be fun. And it was because, I mean, we had a blast. He was teaching me how to hold the racket so I could hit it better. And it was like about an hour of me and him just going back and forth and playing. And I'll be honest with you, one of the highlights of the whole thing was when the ball fell and he's like, "Mom, can you get the ball?" And it was kind of like we were both laughing about it. And I was so excited because I thought I found it. Meanwhile, I had the cat's white paw that I thought was the ball, and I went to go yank it, and the cat went. And we went on the floor, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Right.
And so it's one of those lessons to me because at first I was like, "Dude, like I have older boys too, and you don't know if they're making fun of you or like with you. Like we're in that teenage phase where it's like, But with him." It's really interesting because he's got hearing loss as well. And we can connect in that. And he's got that idea that nothing's going to stop him, where he will admit when he has trouble, hearing or seeing or whatever, but he doesn't let that stop. He's like, "Yeah, I got this, but I'm going to play ping pong anyway." And that's the realization that hits me in this conversation is that, again, who are you surrounding yourself with? If I surrounded myself constantly with my older two boys, I love them to death. But,
Yeah.
it'd be a totally different story. And so, again, it goes back to your story is shaped by who you surround yourself with and who you allow to speak back to you. So it's not necessarily about just sharing your story. And I think we're going to talk about that additionally in other weeks.
Well, how
but just
do
to be
we?
aware of who's around you and who are you letting speak
Exactly.
into your story.
So what does someone have to do when they hear us and say, "Well, maybe I need to learn how to tell my story"? What steps do they need to take?
Well,
What
I
do you
think part of
recommend?
it, yeah, I wish I had this straight out. These are the steps you need to do. And I hesitate in that. only because I don't know what's going on in the person's life and where they are and, about emotional regulation and who they have in their life. But one thing I will say is that, first of all, and I'm learning now, and I'll come back to this, do they have somebody safe in their life?
Right.
Before they even start this? Because eventually you don't want to do this work completely alone. I'm not saying you have to have somebody sitting with you while you write it, but to me, you don't want to do this work completely alone, whether it's you're with a counselor, whether you're with a mental health coach, whether you're with a group, whether you got that one friend who knows you, whatever it is. It doesn't mean you have to share it with them. They just have to be aware that you're walking through this so they can check in on you, because even writing it out or speaking it out, you're connecting neural pathways in your brain that opens it up to different things. And so you could be thinking, okay, I'm going to share this one story. And after you're writing it, you realize memories come up and you may not be prepared
right,
for all
exactly.
of those other stories that come up. So it's just an awareness that, yes, it is healing. It is healing. But at the same time, just aware that you waken yourself up to other things. That's like when you work out a muscle for the first time. Like
right.
when I'm doing shoulder muscles, I'm in the process of increasing my weight for my dumbbells and stuff. So I'm up to like 20 and 30 pounds, which I think is awesome, by the way. But anyway, so I'm in lifting weights. And the one thing that my unofficial personal trainer, AKA friend, was telling me is like, it's going to hurt for a while, but you don't want to do too much. But he's like, I'm going to warn you, it's going to hurt probably the next day, but that's normal, because he knows that I walk through pain like that. I use that example because here's the thing, even though we write or share our story, it's going to hurt, but it shouldn't get to the point where it defines how we're going to walk out the next couple days. So that's what we're aware of. It's like, we want to be able to write our stories and share our stories. We want to be able to open up those neural pathways, but we also want to go to the level where we have the stamina to still stand and walk through our daily lives. And that's just that boundaries to put around ourselves. We want to do it smart.
Yeah, that absolutely. And the safety, I think, is the real issue, because, I know when we're feeling something shame-based,
Yeah.
we become all or nothing, don't share, or we might share everything.
Yeah.
And either way, we lose out.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true. It really is. Because you go, well, that one time I wrote this, or that one time I spoke this, and this is what happened. Well, what about all the other times? And here's the thing, our brains, the way they're wired, a lot of times it's so easier to think of negative rather than positive.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing. And I'm still about this. And I don't know if this has any place in anything that we're talking necessarily about today, but one of the things that I put in place for all the clients that I work with is I make sure that they have good grounding and good positive appreciation moments already in their repertoire. So when they're working through these stories, they still have these positive moments that they've got to sit with, that they can come back to, that they can connect with those emotions, that they can connect with those stories, that they've seen the appreciation and what God is doing even in this day, or even in a couple days ago when they're working on a story that happened years ago. See what I'm saying? They can still come back to the present moment. I'm like, wait a second, that was me years ago, but today I'm here. And not that it makes it all better, so to speak, but they have a grounding place to know where they are today, that doesn't define who they are right now.
Well, I know the example sometimes that I talk about is if you go into a social setting like a bar, and you meet somebody, and that person tells their entire life history 10 minutes after meeting you.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Yes, that's my reaction too. And you walk away staggered with all this information.
Mm-hmm.
That's the extreme. But then when the other thing would be meeting somebody and they don't tell you anything about themselves. There's no bond that is created with you and another person.
Yeah.
These are the two extremes that you can find yourself performing.
Yeah.
Unless you make the decision, as you're saying, to, okay, who do I share with? How much do I share? Because sometimes it's helpful, particularly with new people, to share just a little bit and see what
Yes.
their reaction is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and two responses to that, and I'm sure you know some of this, Bill, so you can even correct me. But one response is when you're sharing, paying attention to what part of your brain you're sharing from, right?
Right.
If I'm triggered and I feel like I need to protect myself, I can, oh my word, I'm a great storyteller. So I can go completely and make it all about you. That's one of my best defenses that I have. But I'm not doing that to connect. I'm doing that to protect. And so if I'm aware of that and I'm confronted with somebody and they're like, they know me well, they're like, Bethany, slow down. I'm like, oh yeah. Take a deep breath. That gets me out of this amygdala. That gets me out of this fear, flight, freeze, talk, to, okay, take a deep breath. I'm in a safe place. This person just wants to connect. Okay. And then usually, if this is done right, I'll come up with a curious question. That is my way of really genuinely connecting. That is my way
Yeah.
of getting back online. That is my way of feeling safe enough where I can connect to you. And that's my way of going, okay, this person's here. And so my other second part of that is the egg analogy is that when you're sharing your story, it's like handing a raw egg to another person to have them hold. You just do that one little part of your story. You don't do the whole like 20-minute version. You just do that little part and see how they hold that. See if they're curious about it. See if they make it all about them. See if they go immediately and just start making fun of it. I mean, just see how they do that. And if they do well, according to you, if they do well, maybe give them another egg or maybe wait a week and see what happens, and see if they still care well for that. Because here's the thing. One, people are going to drop eggs, especially if we give them way too many to carry, and yet we think it's our fault. Like when you shove a whole carton of eggs in somebody's hand, something's going to fall. Like that's too much to ask of anybody, really. But then second of all, you want to trade back and forth a little bit. So if you're giving an egg to them, maybe eventually they'll give an egg to you. You want to feel even on both sides. And so it takes time and trust, and it's both ways. You're watching them, they're watching you, and you build trust in that.
And this is where we run into trouble when we're so consumed with ourselves or our, for example, vision loss or whatever, that we may end up doing all the talking rather than exchange with another person, because everybody has a story. And it's not going to be the same as our story, but we have to open the door that people can share their story with us to the level that they're comfortable. And then it becomes an exchange. Does that sound right?
Yes. Well, and just like we did earlier when you were talking about part of your hearing loss journey, right? When I was with you in that, I was like, wow, Bill, when you were sharing that, I felt angry. I wanted to be with you. And did you feel, and you can totally tell me if you didn't. But did you feel connected with when that wasn't, oh wow, because I have hearing loss too, so I could go off on my own little story, and you're like, well, that's awesome. So we're paying attention. So again, and also just be aware, people don't do this very well, because here's the thing, and we know this too, when we hear somebody's stories, emotions come up on us, and some of us, hopefully mental health professionals, have emotional regulation skills where we can be okay with these heavy emotions that are brought into the room. We make space for that. We know how to deal with that. Other people don't, and it feels uncomfortable. And so they go right into, well, in my story, or they go into, well, that's nice, and they pivot. And they don't, and here's the thing, they're not even aware of what they're doing because it's so uncomfortable. And they may not be willing to face what they're doing. And so that's when you get to make the call, okay, is this somebody that I want to keep sharing with? Or it doesn't mean that your story is not valid. It means that's probably not your person, and that's okay. Good try.
Exactly.
Try again later with a different person.
Well, is there any other suggestion that you have for listeners about, dealing with their story and sharing that story with other people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, today, especially just beginning the story journey, it looks different for everybody, right? I was talking to a friend the other day because I don't write a lot anymore. I try, but it's just getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
But I do practice audio journaling, and there's so many apps, and I'm not going to go into all of that. But the thing is I had to be willing to go with myself in this whole adaptability thing, which I know that can be a cuss word to some of us now. It's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
adapt. I just want to do things like I always did them before, But here's the thing. I knew that it was healthy to get my words out. And so I adapted, and I found one or two places that I love to speak my words and have it read back to me or listen to it back. And then I'm going, oh, wow, I see negative beliefs going on. I see, I'll see all or nothing thinking, and I'm just aware of that. And so that's my way of processing. That's a way of sharing my story. It doesn't even necessarily have to be with anybody right away. Because I think so many times they hear our stories, Bill, and they're like, I don't want to share with anybody right away. I'm not ready for that. Okay. But the hardest part is just to make sure you're safe, make sure you have those one or two people that are at least aware of what you're doing, and then have a place where you can be adaptable and go, if writing doesn't work for you, well, speak it. If speaking doesn't work for you, you can draw it. If drawing doesn't work for you, you can, don't stop it just because one thing doesn't work one time you try it. That's all or nothing thinking all the way. And we are stronger than that here in this community. We're adaptable more than that in this community, and our story deserves to be heard. So I'm telling that person out there that's sitting here going, I can't because of whatever it is. Yes, you can, and your story is worth it to keep working on. And so find the people in your life that you can connect with. Find the way to share your story and just start. Don't have to have this in your mind that it has to look or feel a certain way. Just take the next best step instead of trying to write the whole story in one go.
You're piece by piece, in other words.
Ditto. Step by step. Yeah.
Step by step, yeah.
I think that's a song.
That's crucial because, we try a little bit out and see how other people respond.
Yep.
And that's our checkpoint. And then because like the guy in the bar that I'm talking about, or the woman in the bar who tells the whole story, I'm not going to spend any time with that person. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Unless they're they're my patient.
Yeah, right. And that's the last thing we want to do, honestly. If we're just hanging out with somebody, it's
Yeah.
But yeah. But those people that you really connect with. And that's the one thing and maybe that can be somebody's first step. If we're just listening, maybe somebody out there just needs to know that they can connect with another person. And for that person, I'd be like, hey, pay attention to people that you're with. Because sometimes those people are there. We just don't get out of our own way to see how many people really do care. And so maybe just to give them that experience, like go throughout this next week, whatever week you're going through, and just pay attention wherever you go. Even if you don't leave your house, pay attention to the people that are in your lives, and then pay attention to yourself. Like, who do I need to put in my life? And where are they? And how can I connect with them? Maybe that's your first step.
Yeah. And I think that's the really difficult step because we may feel so bad about our disability, whatever it is, that we feel like we have to take anybody that comes along. And we don't.
Exactly. No, and that's the worst thing.
Very selective. There are people who will be helpful for us, and there are people who are going to just be poison.
Yeah. And think about it. I mean, yeah, I do. I was going to say I don't mean this, but yes, I do. I'm 100% mean this. A lot of us here in this vision loss, blind community, whatever you want to call it, we scare people because we know how to adapt. Honestly. Yeah. And here's the thing. You're going to get that. And if that happens, okay. Like, I don't say don't define yourself by it. Understand that we walk through things that many people haven't. And some people are prepared emotionally and time-wise to sit with us and walk that journey out with us and see the way that we have learned to see. But if they're not, okay, that just means they're not our person. That's okay to have that. That's okay to be aware with that and just be aware of, okay, like, just like other people in our life, they may, do something inside of us and we just need to be curious about that. Like, okay, That's that person's journey, and you're not meant to connect with everyone. And so just to be aware of that, give yourself some grace, and just like we were talking about here, just take the next best step and know that you're not alone. You have these places here, right here, where we've walked through our own stories, and know that you're not alone. And as you're beginning the storytelling, as you're beginning the story writing, just know that you have other places here with other two people as we continue. I don't know about you, Bill, but as we continue writing our story, it's a work that we always come back to.
Yes. Yes. And I know that on that note, we'll be continuing our dialogue
Yes.
with several more episodes to help people understand what it is that we've gone through, what they need to do to help themselves to find the, how should I say, peace, or at least acceptance of whatever their disability is. It just takes a little work.
Yeah. I think the terminology is radical acceptance.
There you go.
Exactly. I don't like that word, but yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, the word for the day.
Yes. I guess it's 2 words, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, this has been wonderful. I'm looking forward to our continuing our discussion. Is there any other last word you want to give to our listener?
Yeah, well, I know we've said it a couple times, but sometimes I walk away from listening to these podcasts and I go, wait, what did they say again? Okay, if you leave with only 2 things, 1, know that you're not alone. But number 2, you decide right now, before even pushing pause or stop or going on to the next thing, what is one small action step that you want to take after listening? Are you someone that has written your story and just has never shared it? Are you someone who's never even started that journey? Are you someone that wants to write a novel one day? I'm not saying to write the novel.
Yeah.
I'm saying, hear me straight even when I'm saying this. Just begin and just do something that you can get done within half an hour, within an hour, something small, and celebrate that progress, because this is huge stuff that we're talking about, Bill. This isn't any light things. And so even if it's a small step, you may think, oh, that's all I did. No, that's huge. And that takes energy, and that takes relations, and that takes trust. And so take that first step, and we'll see you back here next week, right, Bill?
Yeah, right. And I would make one adjustment to what you said in the beginning, and that is, we don't have to be alone, because sometimes we feel that we're destined to be alone.
Yep.
And that's a lie that we tell ourselves.
Yep.
And that's what we have to move. One of the things we have to tell ourselves something different.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. And to our audience out there, think about taking some time to work on your story. That's all you need to do for now.
Yep.
So until the next time, we look forward to having you join us for the next episode. And thank you very much, Bethany, for your good work.
Well, thank you, Bill. Love your story, my friend.
This is your host, Bill Lundgren, with Bethany Joy Boring. This is the end of Story 1. We look forward to having you with us for the next one. Thank you.